We're talking the NC State Wolfpack today on Sharpen the Point. 2024, 6-7. It was disappointing after entering with high hopes. It just was a lackluster season under Dave Dorn. He's going to enter his 13th season now coaching the Pack, and he's long been one of the better coaches at getting the most out of his team. It just did not come together last year. Forced him to switch up coordinators. Kurt Roper, he's going to enter his first season after being promoted from co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach a year ago. Defensive coordinators DJ Elliott in his first season. He was a Baylor senior analyst last year. We'll see what those guys can do to up their game. Quarterback. It was supposed to be the veteran Grayson McCall's show after he was good at Coastal Carolina, and he was supposed to lead the team a year ago, but he was knocked out literally early in the season and forced to the sidelines. And that really put a spotlight right on freshman CJ Bailey to step in and produce right away. As expected, it was a roller coaster experience with plenty of highs and lows, but they're now going to benefit from that experience being under his belt, and he's not going to be able to put that behind him going into this year. More often than not, his passing numbers were good given the weapons that he had to work with. Casey Concepcion, notably with an awful season, did not produce where we expected. You know, he routinely showed off the arm talent that he has, being able to make all the throws across the field. Bailey's going to need to take care of the ball better and reduce the number of sacks that he takes, though. And his mobility is an asset that can be utilized if he can harness it. He really put that on full display against Georgia Tech with 83 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. And it's something he needed to do given how poor his passing performance was that day. So it kind of shows that he can win either with his legs or with his arm, depending on whatever's working that day. I expect Bailey to show plenty of improvement this year and be well on his way to developing into one of the best quarterbacks in the conference eventually over the next couple of seasons. At running back, the combination of Hollywood Smothers, Jordan Waters, and Kendrick Raphael was a true committee, with each receiving between 78 and 95 carries last year. They were all productive on a per-touch basis, accumulating nearly 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground. Now we have Waters and Raphael departing, and Smothers should see a heavier workload after he was the best of the bunch last year. I would not discount his ability out of the backfield either. He's a very good pass catcher, especially getting in open space. It's a very young group with no experience behind him, so Smothers may be leaned on more than they want to pick up that slack. Although I do expect Bailey's legs to supplement plenty as well. He had nearly 100 carries last year himself in that more limited action. The staff does feel good about Duke Scott coming out of the spring to be the number 2 behind Smothers. We haven't really seen him in game action yet, so there is some projecting here in trying to see what he is capable of. Along the pass catcher wise, Casey Concepcion was absolutely amazing as a freshman, and he was nowhere to be found last year. He moves on to Texas A&M, wish him the best there. But there are plenty of promising pieces in-house here, even with Dakari Collins leaving as well to go to Louisville, that can produce. Tight end Justin Jolie, he was a somewhat surprise as the yardage leader last year with 661, even though it was expected he would come in and make an impact right away. He should continue to have a featured role as he's a clear mismatch anytime he's on the field. Jolie is good at stretching the field, which is a rarity at that tight end position. Noah Rogers and Wesley Grimes are going to be the top 2 wideouts. They were returning off of fine seasons where each had their moments throughout it. They're going to need to find the end zone more. Each logged 1 touchdown apiece last year, but I would expect Rogers to take the biggest leap of the bunch and have a realistic chance of being the top option in this offense, battling Jolie for that. Behind the clear-cut starters of those top 2, Terrell Anderson's the most likely to move into that number 3 spot out of the gate, but I do expect prize recruit Jarrell Boulder. He could be someone who sees the field right away as a true freshman. There's a lot of size in the room here, so you could really see some basketball on grass out of these guys and just kind of chuck it and huck it up to them and let them high point the football. Offensive line-wise, what was a very good unit last year now only returns 2 of the 5 starters. Good news is it's left tackle Jacarius Peak. He is extremely good. And left guard Anthony Carter, who are back after quality seasons. Peak had a really good year at right tackle last year. He's going to move to left tackle now, and he's developing into a great talent. And I think he'll do a great job on the blind side for Bailey. The portal brought in 2 starters in right tackle Teague Anderson from Utah State and what will likely be the starting center, Jalen Grant from Purdue. Grant's also capable of playing guard, so they can have some positional flexibility to shuffle around if needed. That right guard spot is the biggest question mark right now for me, as several guys could really jump up and grab it. True freshman Spike Souls is a highly touted recruit who could take that center spot and give Grant the guard role should it fall that way. There may be some early growing pains with this offensive line unit, but I would expect that their drop-off here is going to be minimal from a year ago. On the defensive line, with the loss of Devon Van and his team leading 7 sacks, they're going to need to find another pass rusher. Van was stout against the run as well, but the returns of Brandon Cleveland and Trevally Price will help keep some continuity. Cleveland clogs the middle, tackling on. He really takes on double teams and generates pressure, but they do lack some depth behind him in that middle. Price is a steady presence on the edge, but lacks the pass rush capability that Van had, and he did not have the breakout season that many expected last year. They're kind of going to hope that Price does break out this season. Generating the rush may fall on Sebastian Harsh. He comes over from Wyoming. He's not the pass rusher that Van is either, so you can expect slightly less production unless someone else can step up into that role of creating pressure off the edge. Linebacker, Caden Fordham was set to lead the room last season, but an injury forced him out of the lineup after 6 games, having a significant negative impact on the entire defense. He now returns and will be the leader of this unit again. Fordham was expected to make a leap last year, and they'll now see if that does occur this season with him healthy. Sean Brown played well a year ago, creating pressure. He's going to continue to be on the field. After the top 2 at this spot, they really hit the portal to bolster the ranks with some high upside pieces. Kenny Soares from Northwestern, Trey Thomas from Temple, A.J. Richardson from Norfolk State, and Sion Sloan from the JUCO ranks will be in the mix for snaps. Richardson from Norfolk State, he was an FCS All-American. I expect that he can step in and play some snaps here. And then Trey Thomas could be a key piece for them as a stand-up edge rusher and getting them some of that pass rushing ability that they're losing from Van in that front group. Defensive back-wise, the secondary is in a full rebuild mode right now after graduations and portal loss took their toll. Quarterback Devon Marshall is the only returner that played significant snaps a year ago. He should man an outside spot, with the other coming down to returner Jason Vick or a pair of transfers in Jamel Johnson from Temple and Jaron Sensabaugh from Missouri. The nickel is going to be manned by Brian Nelson from North Texas. He's really got a nose for the football, having 4 interceptions a year ago. And then returner Rente Hinton, he's going to need to step up and fill a safety spot while being paired with J.J. Johnson from Georgia State. The staff has talked a lot about Johnson in this offseason. He's an undersized for the position, but was an all-conference performer in the Sun Belt last year. They brought in some experience from the portal, but the group as a whole is going to need to step up in order to avoid a swift drop-off on that back end. Looking at the schedule and outlook, I have confidence that Bailey will continue to grow, but the depth and top-end talent at the skill positions is an issue for me. Jolie's a really good starting point for an offense to work with, and Rogers could be a solid weapon as well if he takes a good leap. I just don't think Smothers can hold up to the workload that they need to place upon him, giving the context of this offense. Getting to the quarterback and coverage on the back end are a clear concern for this defense. They're going to need to be good against the run, but how they defend the pass will be key for how the defense performs as a whole. East Carolina, that was the bowl game loss. That casts doubt from a year ago as to whether they can repeat that. I do think that it fuels the Wolfpack here with that loss, and I think they come out with a win right out the gate. Virginia, odd scheduling quirk. That's a non-conference game. I would lean win there. Virginia has made some strides, though, with that team. They should be better this year. At Wake Forest, I would lean win as well. I think the run game is the strength of their team, not the pass game, and that matches up well for the Pack here, and they're able to take care of business. At Duke, coin flip here, I'm going to lean loss. I think Duke returns enough and has upgraded some of their weaponry to be able to take that game, specifically with the pass struggles that we could see out of this Wolfpack defense. Virginia Tech, I think it's a coin flip, but I'll lean win. I think Bailey's a better version of Kyron Drones, even at younger. And the coaching difference is stark here between Dave Doran and Brent Pry. Campbell win at Notre Dame, loss. This is the tough part of the schedule. Georgia Tech loss. I think they have a chance given it's a home game, and the health for the Yellow Jackets is going to be key here. We've seen plenty of times where Haynes King's out of the lineup. Haynes King out of the lineup changes that team. At Miami, loss. They're just too talented. Florida State, I think that's a coin flip. Mainly because Florida State could have quit by this point. They quit by this point last year. They quit a lot earlier. I would lean loss if Florida State is a full steam ahead and actually trying at this point in the year. And then North Carolina, it's a rivalry game. I get it, but I think that's a win as they're clearly playing for 2026, although those type of games are always tricky. Overall, it's a tough schedule, especially in the middle portion of it, as they do not have easier teams in their schedule, like Cal, Stanford. So there's a severe lack of bankable wins. There's a lot more coin flips than you'd like to see. 6 wins feels like a safe number here, but as harsh as it is to say, that's probably should start warming the seat of Dave Doran having only a 6-win season, or anything less than that specifically. I don't think you should have even consider getting rid of him, though. 7 would be an acceptable number in a building year, with 8 or 9 including a notable win over Miami, Notre Dame, or Georgia Tech, signaling that this team has a real shot to contend in 2026.